Hello and welcome to Heather and Hops. My name is Kat, or Catherine, and I'm a knitter based in Hertfordshire in the United Kingdom. This is my little space on the internet where I usually document my knitting journey and have done since Project 1. But since this was sort of built on the foundation of aiming to find connection and have chats rather than just a one-way sort of street, I put it to Instagram yesterday. I've not been feeling too great, if I'm honest, and it takes quite a lot to do a usual podcast episode. It's just like there's been some questions and asking for a little bit more from me, which is fine, and I really want to do so, but I don't have it in me this week to be to do it. So it was 50-50. Half said just skip a week and half said they'd like questions to be answered. So I have gathered the questions, I have a little bit of knitting with me, so maybe I'll get a bit done, maybe I won't, time will tell. But yeah, I thought this would be nice to just sort of, hopefully a bit less on my end to do while still getting to chat with you and catch up. Yeah, so I will look at my phone because the questions are on my phone, but we will get going. I think there's some lovely ones. Well, I should have pulled them up first really, but such is life. Where are they? So, the first question was, what's your most treasured knit? That is really difficult, and I think anyone that knits would kind of understand how difficult that question might be to answer. I think there's a good few for many reasons. I did read the questions quickly before, just to try and bring a few garments or items down so that I could, share them. And I think these three in a way might be my most treasured, and these are because these two were worn when we got married, and this one is the second version of the shawl that I wore when I got married. So this is essentially my second wedding shawl, though I didn't wear it there. The original one went to my mother. So it's got some old shale and some colour work, thistles and hops. Thistles because I love thistles and hops, kind of, which were designed by Alex because he is Mr. Hops. Yeah, this one was knit using Shetland wool, which I absolutely love. This is Jameson and Smith, the 2-ply jumper weight, and it's big, it's squishy, it means a lot to me, and this is actually the one that I shared last week has gone into testing, which is really exciting because I love this shawl. It's going to come with blank charts so you can sort of insert your own adventure, so to speak. But yeah, this kept me really warm this winter and obviously means quite a bit to me, and it does go with my wedding cardigan quite well, and I guess you could get away with wearing my wedding top too. Bring it closer. I know that people ask for a bit more closer, and like I keep looking at the screen, and I don't mean to do that. It's just that because of the way I don't know that I've explained, but last month, maybe the month before, Alex left he left my filming lens in the park, which is fine. It's not the end of the world, at least we still have cameras. But he did kindly replace it, and it's just a little bit different. I'm still not quite used to how quickly and slowly it focuses, so I am kind of checking at the moment, and I don't mean to, but anyway. So this is my little wedding top. This I truly love. It is my own design. There's a few textures, so the slip one, pearl one texture at the top, and the middle lace work was taken from the Ranunculus, but it's my own stitch count, my own numbers, and everything else is my own. So I really love this little top, and the colour was dyed custom for me by Becky of Back to Blighty on her alpaca silk lace, and it's beautiful. It's a lace weight yarn, and I think I held it double. And then this is the Me Up Cardigan by Plum Mum. I knit it using drops in the sage green, the drops mohair. I did use elastic at the waist to really cinch it in. I might have done the waist a bit higher if I had known a bit more when I was knitting it. I've also had to put elastic in the sleeves to cinch them in a bit, and if you've been here for a while you will see that I hacked it, but I did just sew the inside up, so it now fits me a lot better than it did on our wedding day, and I kind of wish I did it before, but hindsight, it doesn't matter. I still had a lot of fun and it did keep me very warm. So yeah, I think they're probably my most treasured knits because, well, more for the nostalgia than anything else. What is your favourite part about knitting and what makes knitting so special to you? My favourite part about knitting, I think it's all of it. It's the creativity that it allows you to have, or if you're not feeling particularly creative, you can just follow a pattern. It obviously brings me a lot of calm. It's kept me very busy in times where I couldn't otherwise be busy. I think my favourite part is that, really. It's that I've gone from being a very active person to being unable to do a lot of things and come back to it at just the right time, because I previously tried knitting with my grandmother and it never clicked ever. So I tried again just before I went to university and then picked it up because I was unable to do anything else, and it's given me something to do and so many more connections than I could have possibly hoped for. The community itself is beautiful, and I think that plays a big part in what I love most. But yeah, it's kind of been a crutch when I've needed it, and now it's just a huge part of my life, and the people that do it are a part of my life now, and I'm very grateful. I think without getting too overly, the meditation aspect, and then the way that it can help you focus when you're in a group of people or you've got to listen. For me, having something to do with my hands really, really helps. I kind of feel like I can really be there. Yeah, I think that's it for that one. My most worn item of knitwear, I think this might come up a few times. I think it's probably this. This is my Arauwork DK Ranunculus, and it's not, for some it's not the most exciting colour, but to me it's the most neutral, practical colour that's not black. I have worn this a lot. It's peeled slightly, well, a fair amount I guess, but it is starting to, now I'm starting to gleam it a bit. It's starting to look a little bit better than it did previously, and I will continue wearing this for a long, long time. I think it doesn't feel like it's aging. The shape's held up, but yeah, I think this is my most worn, apart from maybe, no, I think I wear that more. I'm gonna say these ones, the Jessie Maes Secret Little Crop. These I wear all the time. I'm wearing the summer one, which I don't love as much. I prefer the ribbing. It hides a bit more. It fits better. It doesn't have the rolled neck, which slightly bothers me. If I really wanted to, I could go back and redo it or alter it next time, but this just fits a lot better. It's been a lot easier to make fit, and this yarn is the Flowers for Yasha, which was a club colourway by Hannah, who is the Corner of Craft, who does chromatic yarns, which is Dungeon and Dragons inspired yarn, and the Knitical Roll Club is for Critical Role inspired colourways. So I wear these like all year round. In the summer as just a top, see, I have to check, in the summer, or in the winter just to layer, because they're just so comfortable. Yeah, keep shaking my head. Do apologise, I've got a really twitchy eye still. It's really bothering me. It's been going on for weeks now. So yeah. My favourite brand of wool. That's really hard. I don't think I have one particular favourite. Whistlebear means a lot to me, and that's for many reasons. I've visited the farm, I've helped shear the goats. It is goats. I love mohair a lot. I think it's beautiful. It creates gorgeous fabric. And I've obviously seen how the animals are treated. I really love Tess and Alice, who are Whistlebear. Alice owns the farm, and Tess is the right-hand woman that also does so much. I really like Arauwork. Arauwork was a yarn that I discovered at the first ever yarn festival I went to. I spoke to Christine, I believe it's Christine, who owns the company, and I immediately felt a deep connection, and I could see her energy and love that she puts into it. Yeah, I think they're my two favourites that I've used and knitted with a fair amount. I've got a few yarns in my pantry that I would love to try, and I haven't got round to, that might creep up there. Someone asks, what are your top or favourite patterns? I guess this is gonna get a bit samey, but one, two. So probably the Ranunculus. This is the Arauwork one, and this one is knit using Whistlebear. I think this is, oh, I can't remember, Moorland Mist and Cherry Mallow? Yes, I think that's right. The pink Cheviot Marsh is the Moorland Mist, and the Yivering Bell, which is mohair, is Cherry Mallow. But yeah, this is the Ranunculus. I've knit this 6 times, I think. I want to knit another one. I have some mohair from the last one I knit that I would love to knit a short-sleeved mohair only version for a friend. And then this is the next. So I've actually knitted this 7 times now, and this is the Vapou. And I've knit various versions, and I'll only show you a couple. This one has the sort of bell sleeve modification that I did with much longer ribbing to really cinch it in around the wrists. This one is done basically to pattern, and it's big, oversized. I used Drops alpaca, the Drops brushed alpaca held double, and this I used mohair held double. No, that's not true. Drops brushed alpaca again with 1 strand of my own mohair, which is the My Chemical Romance colour, which I called 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, which was one that I dyed for myself. So yeah, I think favourites is hard because I really loved knitting the Braids of Grass and then this one by LB Hand Knits, but I have only knit them the once, but this one I only knit fairly recently, and the Braids of Grass I knit in February, so that's not to say I might knit more for gifts, because this was really fun to work on. But in terms of favourite patterns, if you're going on what you've knitted maybe more of, I guess that those two hands down win at over half a dozen each. Today I have some nettle, which I collected at the weekend. And yes, this is strange. what would your wool dream for the future be? How will wool or yarn take place in your future? That is interesting. I guess I would love to get some more fleece made, but I would also love to spin. I think being able to take the item from sheep through to fleece, through to spinning, the whole process would be amazing. That's something that I've been talking about for quite some time. I don't think that's changed. Yeah, I just hope to continue knitting, keep learning, and I believe I'll answer it now. Someone asked, what is an update on your 5-year project? I think it's 6 years, which is mad to think that we're already nearly at the end of year 3. So from 1 to 3, I was focusing on learning techniques and dabbling in vintage patterns. I have knitted 5 items that I still haven't shared, and I think it's just because really I want a little bit of help from Alex and the right weather, which we're now almost getting, to be able to show them properly, because I want to show them on and while I'm out and explain them. But I am still trying to keep learning. I've wanted to focus mostly on simple knit and purl. Seaming is something that I really want to improve on, so that going forward is something that I'm going to make sure I'm adding into projects that I plan to knit. But until sort of the end of August, I'm trying not to get too excited by travelling around, which is what years 4 through to 6 will be, well, yes. And then at the end of that I will do my final objects. So I'm going to be knitting and hoping to learn different traditional techniques from around the world from 4 to 6. I will be knitting items that, you know, I want to knit for friends and family, but I want to do a focus on learning maybe Latvian braids and things from around the world that quite specific if I can, and hopefully it means that I get to connect with other knitters in the process, because I've had quite a few people saying, oh, did you know about this technique, did you know about that? So hopefully I can return to those and sort of start conversations and start really learning. And then after that I will complete masterpieces, including a wall hanging and other items. There is a full video on that, but yeah, I think I've just reiterated that. So that's where I'm at really. I've just finished a lot of items and not been able to share them. What's the worst advice you've ever been given? Woof. I don't know really. That's really hard. I mean, so you might have noticed I have a chipped front tooth. This happened years ago when I was, I guess, maybe 12, maybe 10, 11. And very simple, it was raining. We have a subway right near where we live that's a sloped subway, and then on the opposite side is stairs, and then the subway goes in between. My brakes on my bike didn't work and I went into some concrete stairs. But my dentist just like looked at me and went, well, don't do that again. Had no other help, no other advice other than don't. And I was like, that is probably the worst advice I've ever had, because A, it was a bit mean. I was very young, and B, well, it's just a bit obvious really. My favourite song this week? Don't know what I've listened to a lot this week. I think I've just listened to the new Less Than Jake song. Let's check. I like it that I can check. It's called Need Some Shaking, and they released it on the 18th of June. So if you like Less Than Jake, they've got a new song. But I'm actually hoping to celebrate, this is really off-piste, on the 6th of August this year, I will have been using Lastfm. You might not be able to see it, but Lastfm for 15 years, which is quite something to me. It basically tracks what you listen to, and whilst I listen to a lot of music on my iPod still, which I've had for maybe 15 years, and record players and YouTube too, it's just really interesting to see who I listen to most and get stats and see the ebbs and flows of what kind of genres I'm listening to mostly at what time of year. Yes, if you use Lastfm, do feel free to share, because I really enjoy it, and I don't talk to anyone or see anyone else on it anymore, but I really rate it. 1 second. Still got that old timer on there. What cast on do you use on your ranunculus? How many skeins of mohair or fingering did you use? Ooh, I use the cast on that's recommended, which is a tubular cast on. I think it's fantastic. You use a crochet hook to do it, and I have heard some people say they really struggle, but read the instructions, take it step by step, and it's fine. I think with this one, I did do this a bit smaller than, you know, the pattern kind of has you do, but I think I used a skein and a half of both the fingering and the mohair. I think this one, I can't remember, I think I used just over 2 skeins, or maybe 2 skeins. Yes, just over 2 skeins. I think I have more than half of a 3rd skein left. But when I do my lightweight summer versions with just the mohair, I can get one out of a single skein of mohair very easily. So I do recommend it. I have done on, I think, my black one and the peach one, both of those 2 versions that I didn't do as many increases for the body because I'm pretty petite around the bust, so it just looks a lot nicer and fits me a lot better than, so it meant that if I wanted to, I could have had a bit longer in the length and added more length to the sleeves. Ooh, what YouTube yoga teachers recommend to check out? I guess it depends what you're looking for. Yoga with Adrienne's a very popular, good one. She does and covers a lot, and they're quite easy to search for if you're looking for something very specific, like yoga for backache or yoga for relaxation. She has that. I really like yoga with Cassandra, who has quite a few yin style yoga practices, which I really find helpful for the mind as well as the body. And then Kat Mifan, who does stronger practices in actual the asanas and the movements she shares, but slightly less. Yeah, I think those 3 are probably the ones I'd recommend to anyone, to try 3 very different teachers and find out what they like best. Yeah, I think that. Ooh, and favourite books. I am more into numbers and statistics than I ever thought I was, and through actually answering these, it's even becoming more apparent. I really enjoy books that are statistics and numbers on things. So Chasing the Scream, Swallow This, so that Chasing the Scream's on drugs. I think Drugs in Hot Air was a great book too. And then Swallow This is about the food industry. Very eye-opening book. Not an exciting read for many, but I love food and the understanding how it interacts with the body, and to learn about what's going on in the food industry. was quite hard hitting but brilliant. And then more recently I've enjoyed listening to The Life of Trees. I've still not finished it yet, but that has been really cool. Quite eye-opening, not that heavy on statistics and numbers, but yeah, I quite like that sort of book, weirdly. I did have a while where I needed to step away from it. And then another one who I recommended to Yogini Knits is Finding Yourself in the Kitchen. That is a beautiful combination between sort of meditation techniques and cooking. Ways to find yourself in the kitchen. I think that's wonderful. I think the writer went to live and work in a monastery for a while, and the things she'd learnt and things she's carried through to her daily life. Yeah, weird collection of things that I've enjoyed. Oldest pattern in the queue but not started. I don't know, I can have a little look. Which feels weird to do. But let's see. I guess, have they gone up in order? No. Okay, so it's actually the Bouquet sweater by Junko Okamoto. I'll put a picture up too. And I added that on February the 11th, 2019. Yeah, I have the pattern and I really want to knit it. I just have never had the right quantity or the right yarn. So hopefully that will happen in the future. I think it's gorgeous. I just think it's beautiful. Oh, there's a few really nice just messages that I'll try and respond back to. Tell us about your favourite pop punk bands and how you got into the genre. Ooh, I could talk about this one for way too long. I'll try and keep it short. I think Blink-182 were probably my way into pop punk. I really don't want to go on too long. I was very lucky growing up in that my local area had so much live music. Once I discovered the genre and discovered a few people were into it, discovered the skate park. We had a very good skate park built when I was a teenager, or just before I was a teenager. And yeah, just talking to people, and then eventually MySpace became a thing. So we had unlimited access to brand new pop punk bands from, I don't even remember, like it could go on, so I'm not even going to start, I'm going to be good. But I don't know about my favourites still, because it's always changing, and they're all really, in fact let's do what it actually is. Let's go on to Lastfm. I wonder if it will do it by genre. Let's just do top artists of all time on here and read out the pop punk-ish bands, right? So I don't know, Paramore aren't that anymore. Blink-182, Neck Deep, Man Overboard, Newfound Glory, very typical bands. The Menzingers, the Bouncing Souls aren't really pop punk, but Iron Chic, fantastic if you don't know them. Do recommend the Bouncing Souls too. The Menzingers, arguably pop punk. Cartel, not really, but arguably in that wheelhouse. Alkaline Trio, The Dangerous Summer, A Day to Remember, and 4 Years Strong. And Turnover. So they're all the top ones in my according to Lastfm, they're the bands that I gravitate most towards without kind of thinking about it. In terms of new bands, Kenny Hoopla's worth checking out. He's really cool. I was surprised how much I enjoyed Machine Gun Kelly's new stuff. State Champs, are they classed as new anymore? Yeah, there's loads. There's really loads. I won't stop. I will stop talking about it because I could talk about music for way too long and just list bands that I really enjoy. Also, if you were a bird, what bird would you be? Dunno. I was about to say a magpie, but I've discovered they're not very nice. I like to think a robin. I'm pretty, you know, I quite like Christmas. I'm quite curious. And we've got one that's really curious maybe to its detriment with little Audrey around. Yeah, I don't think I'm very, like, exciting. I wouldn't get to be like a cuckoo or a lapwing or anything like that. What are your most worn summer pieces? Well, a lot. I picked these out from upstairs just because. So this is definitely one of my most worn. This is my Caligodana top, and I have it in a mustard that I probably wear most, but that's in my little to wash pile because I wore it last week. Yeah, this is practical for me. It's not too covering, it's slightly cropped, just very practical in the heat. But these ones I've not had since it's become warm, but I believe these will be worn a lot in the summer. And this is the Framework Bralette by Jessie May, and this was using, I think, Paintbox Yarn's Cotton DK. This is the Organic Trio yarn, and this is a slightly modified version of the Heya tank. I did a straight back for it, but I've been wearing this a fair amount, both with skirts, with my linen trousers and with jeans. It seems to go with everything and is really nice and airy. It's not so wide and like not covering that I have to wear a top under it or anything under it if I don't want to, but it's also light enough that I can wear a top under it and still feel, yeah. And then this is my difficult to see rebel dress, as I call it, and it is I knit it using Drops Pina? I think it's Drops Pina, which is a 100% alpaca DK bait. Close. It's sort of a heathered brown grey, and this I have worn quite a bit layered in the winter, but I can imagine that this is going to be not on the hottest days, but maybe even in the evenings in the summer. This is going to be a really sort of strong staple. Yeah, and I will try and put all the links to things in the thingy, in the box down at the bottom. Ooh, I'll go and get my needle case. So someone's asked, how do you store all your needles, especially those which aren't in a set? I'm definitely not getting any knitting done, but this is how they are. I hope to do a little PDF thing, blog post, where I share how I did it, but it is very simple. It just closes with some ribbon that came from wrapping my pyjamas up that I got like 3 Christmases ago, and they live. Now I have to take that one off. In here, and I fit all of the needles that I have. I think there's maybe a couple of 2 large sets that I don't often use that are in just a notions pouch with spare notions, but everything else fits in here. So I've got my DPNs and then the needles that match, the same long ones, if that makes sense. So if this is 3.25, this is 3.252. Then my short needles along the front and bamboo all together on this side. Oh, and then in this little tiny patch in the middle is the mini circulars. That fits everything. My cables live in this side, so this is two higher sort of holders that I have cut up and attached to some linen is basically all I've done, and put buttons on it to close it, which I'll show you. And then I just wrap it up like a present, which is kind of fun and cute. And hard to do on camera apparently. So yeah, they just kind of live in this little doodly-doo. How do you learn continental style knitting? I used YouTube. I think it was Very Pink Knits that was the one that really clicked with me in terms of understanding the process. I think her videos are very clear and shown from directly above. So yeah, that's how I learn. I discovered it because I ended up learning. I took it with me to an event that I was working at that was completely dead. There was no one around, and I'd taken some straight knitting needles with me and some yarn, and I was adamant that I was going to try and do a scarf because I was suffering with RSI from crocheting, and I had started to get unwell and wanted just something to keep me busy while I was feeling rotten while I was there. Long story short, and I was slowly getting the hang of English style, and it was just taking a long time, and a scarf is not something I'd recommend anyone starting with really, because it takes a long time. And so I think I just typed into YouTube like how to knit a little bit quicker and discovered continental style that way. So, and then it was, yeah, quick to go from trying to knit a scarf and going, I know, I would like to knit some colourwork mittens, and that was my first project. Any specific knitting techniques you would like to learn or haven't tried yet or want to get better at? I really want to get better at seaming. I've definitely improved, and picking up stitches I've definitely improved too. I'm like, that is definitely improved. That's something that I'm really happy with, but I think seaming, though I have got better, I just want to do it a bit more so I really can read the knitting and where to do it with confidence. I would like to do some more steeks. Don't feel like I've done enough of that really yet. And maybe some intarsia, but I really enjoy colourwork, so I would love to do some fair isle too, but yeah, just loads. But I'm looking at exploring techniques from farther afield in the future. I'm trying not to get too excited by it now, because otherwise I know what I'm like. I'll get really excited and then start doing it, and we'll get to year 4 and be like, well, now what am I gonna do? So yeah, maybe answers it. Ah, how are you? Yeah, I'm here doing this strange thing because I don't feel great. If I'm honest, I am on some medication which is making me feel really not very good, but in the long term it's going to be a lot better. I know that, so I'm doing it. And yeah, okay otherwise. Thank you. I hope you're okay too. Why did you get into knitting? I think I've explained this now in this video and a few more times, but through illness basically. And now I love it for itself. Favourite project you've made? I just don't think I can. I love a lot of projects. I really do. Yeah, I can't. I could do a few. I could probably do 10. But maybe we'll do I'll figure out favourites and do a video on absolute favourites. Plans for the summer? We're hoping to go up to Scotland to harvest some chamomile, which will be lovely. Just being outdoors and being in Scotland, obviously. But other than that, we don't really have anything planned because the world is what it is. Most challenging knit so far? I don't think it really was, but I think the Rambling Woman that I knitted for a gift, I don't know why, I really struggled mentally with that. I wasn't very well, like I was really unwell at the time and my brain couldn't do it, so it took me over a year to knit. It was the first time I've ever steeked, and I was steeking a gift, and yeah, that was the most challenging. It was the biggest item I think I've knitted to date, and it was just mentally challenging more than an actual challenge. I don't think I've knitted anything and felt really challenged yet. I think it's the cycling jersey, which I really can't wait to show you now I'm thinking of it. That following a pattern as old as it was a challenge. Yes, that was definitely the biggest challenge to date. I forgot about knitting that. Yeah, I really can't wait to show you the cycling jersey. It is really cool. If you could live anywhere else except Scotland, where would you live? I think not like pie in the sky pipeline dream would be somewhere like Daintree Rainforest or somewhere in New Zealand, but realistically probably Northumberland, which is basically England, Scotland. It's beautiful and it's where Whistlebear is. Or your favourite knitting podcast, and you can only pick one. That's hard. I think I'd probably say Marina Skewer podcast, because I find Marina's energy to be so wonderful. She keeps me company at dinner on the rare occasion that I have a TV dinner, and she's incredibly informative. Yeah, that was really hard to, but also I think Marina teaches while being warm, and I like that a lot. A couple of funny ranunculus comments. I'm glad to have a fellow D&D lover. That makes me very happy. I really hope to play some more D&D this weekend. What is your favourite yarn and why? And what is your favourite make and why? And they're both questions that I've not quite managed to answer. I think I managed to answer favourite yarn, but favourite make, I just really don't think I can. Yeah, I'm really enjoying wearing my slippers, which, look at these ends. I'm hoping they'll just felt in. They haven't quite felted to itself yet, but yeah. These are the elf slippers, and they are knit. They're special because they were knit using, I really love them, yarn that Alex and I had spun, and so they're as local as I could possibly get to me. They feel really good, and because the weather is being absolutely wild at the moment, I don't know how it was 26 degrees one week and 14 the next. That's a big drop. Yeah, they're keeping my feet nice and warm. Anyway, that was a lot more talking and probably a little bit quicker paced and waffly than I'd hoped that I'd be able to do. But I really hope you're well. If you aren't feeling well, please take it easy. Please look after yourself. Make sure you're staying hydrated. That is something I go on about all the time, but don't forget to drink some liquid. I'm gonna go and finish my cold nettle. I'll edit this as simply as possible. If it's gone up live without loads of the information in the description box, I will come back and do it as soon as I can. But brain. And anyway, please, please, please be excellent to each other. Enjoy whatever you're making, knitting or doing at the moment, and I really hope to see you again very soon.